Welcome to our exploration of flavor chemistry and its potential impact on your pre-workout experience. When you reach for a tub of pre-workout, you probably have a favorite flavor, maybe sour green apple or blue raz. But have you ever stopped to wonder whether the taste does more than please your palate? This presentation will delve into the science of taste, smell, and expectation to see if flavor can actually change how a supplement feels and performs. By understanding the multisensory nature of flavor and the psychological responses it evokes, we can make more informed choices about what we put in our shaker bottle. Let's begin by asking a simple question. Can flavor alter your perception of potency, or is it all just in your head? Have you ever noticed that one flavor of your pre-workout feels stronger than another? Some athletes swear that sour or bitter flavors make them feel more awake or give them a harder kick. But is that because of the chemistry of the flavoring itself, or because our brains expect certain sensations to be more intense? In this session, we're going to investigate how taste, the brain, and exercise performance intersect. We'll explore whether sourness or bitterness primes your nervous system or whether these sensations merely trick you into thinking you're getting a bigger boost. We'll also consider the role of expectations and placebo effects. To understand all that, we need to lay out our agenda for today's discussion. Here's what we'll cover in this deep dive into flavor and performance. First, we'll define what flavor really is, including the roles of taste, smell, and chemesthesis. Next, we'll explore the biology of taste, smell, and the trigeminal nerve, and how these senses converge in the brain. Then we'll discuss expectation and placebo mechanisms, how the taste of sweetness can signal energy and alter effort. From there, we'll examine how different taste modalities may affect performance and review psychological responses like rate of perceived exertion and motivation. We'll dispel myths about natural versus artificial flavors and look at how flavor intensity influences arousal. We'll touch on hydration, adherence, and when flavor does and doesn't matter. Finally, we'll conclude with key takeaways so you can choose your supplements wisely. Let's start by defining flavor itself. Flavor is more than just taste. It combines taste, aroma, temperature, texture, and chemesthesis, the sensations of cooling or warming in your mouth. On the taste side, receptors on your tongue detect 5 modalities: sweet signals energy and calories, salty reflects electrolyte balance, sour hints at acidity and pH, bitter warns against toxins, and umami indicates amino acids and protein. These signals aren't just for enjoyment. They evolve to help us identify what's safe and nutritious. Smell adds depth by detecting volatile compounds retronasally, while mouthfeel and trigeminal sensations like menthol's cooling or capsaicin's burning add further layers. Together, these sensory inputs create flavor and drive reward pathways in the brain. Understanding this complex system will help us see how taste might influence exercise. Next, we'll look closer at the neural pathways involved in taste, smell, and the trigeminal nerve. Our perception of flavor relies on 3 distinct sensory systems. Taste buds on your tongue send signals via cranial nerves 7, 9, and X to the brainstem, telling you whether something is sweet, salty, sour, bitter, or umami. Meanwhile, olfactory receptors in your nasal cavity detect aromatic molecules. When you chew, these volatiles travel retronasally to your olfactory bulb. Both taste and smell converge in the insular and orbitofrontal cortices, where your brain constructs a unified flavor experience. Then there's chemesthesis, mediated by the trigeminal nerve, cranial nerve V. This pathway conveys sensations like menthol's cooling, capsaicin's burning, and carbonated tingling. These sensations are often mistaken for taste, but are separate modalities that can modulate arousal and perceived exertion. As we move forward, keep in mind how these senses shape your expectations about energy and performance. Our brains are wired to associate sweet taste with incoming energy, so when sweetness hits your tongue, your body anticipates a carbohydrate surge. This expectation can influence your performance even if no calories follow. For example, carbohydrate mouth rinses, swishing a sweet solution and spitting it out, improve endurance by lowering perceived effort through reward and motor region activation. Interestingly, very sweet non-caloric flavors don't deliver the same benefit, showing that taste alone isn't enough. The brain must believe actual energy is coming. Strong taste can also condition placebo responses. If a harsh or bitter flavor has previously been linked to a potent pre-workout, your brain may interpret that sensation as a signal to gear up, boosting arousal and drive. These findings set the stage for examining specific taste modalities and their performance effects. Each taste modality can influence performance in subtle ways. Sweetness often reduces perceived effort by signaling energy availability. This is why carbohydrate rinses can improve performance even without ingestion. Salty taste may encourage fluid intake, supporting hydration and electrolyte balance, which is critical during long workouts. Sour flavors engage trigeminal pathways and can provide a brief boost in arousal or alertness, though evidence for sustained performance gains is mixed. Bitter compounds like quinine and even caffeine activate receptors in the gut and brain. Ingesting them can modestly enhance sprint performance. Umami is less studied in exercise contexts, but its savory profile may enhance palatability and indirectly adherence. Cooling and spicy sensations, mediated by chemesthesis, also alter comfort and perceived exertion. These modalities work through both physiological and psychological channels, which will connect to psychological responses next. Beyond physiological signals, flavor influences how hard a workout feels. Rate of perceived exertion, or RPE, measures how intense an exercise session feels relative to your capacity. Studies show that when athletes consume preferred flavors, their RPE decreases, even though power output and heart rate remain unchanged. They also report greater enjoyment and motivation, which can translate into longer or more consistent training sessions. On the flip side, non-preferred flavors raise RPE and lower enjoyment, making workouts feel harder than they actually are. These findings underscore the importance of choosing flavors you genuinely like. Doing so can boost adherence and mood. With these psychological effects in mind, let's tackle some misconceptions about natural versus artificial flavorings. Many people believe that natural flavors are healthier or more effective than artificial ones. But the distinction is about source, not chemistry. Both natural and artificial flavors can contain identical molecules. Natural simply means the compound was extracted from a plant or animal, while artificial indicates synthesis in a lab. These molecules are used in tiny amounts and rarely influence physiology beyond taste perception. Performance differences between flavors stem from expectation and palatability, not from synthetic versus natural sources. Safety and efficacy hinge on dose and regulatory approval, not marketing labels. So rather than fixating on whether a flavor is natural or artificial, evaluate pre-workouts based on their active ingredients and evidence. Now let's see how flavor intensity and specific sensations like sourness, cooling, bitterness, and spiciness can affect arousal and exercise comfort. Flavor intensity can have acute effects on how you feel during a workout. Sour flavors, often created with citric acid, stimulate trigeminal pathways and may briefly increase muscle activation and alertness, but they rarely translate into measurable performance gains. Cooling sensations from menthol mouth rinses enhance thermal comfort and lower perceived exertion, even though core body temperature remains unchanged. Bitter compounds like quinine or caffeine activate receptors in the gastrointestinal tract and brain. When ingested, they have been shown to improve sprint performance by roughly 4%. Spicy ingredients such as capsicum can boost endurance and repetition counts, likely through increased catecholamine release, but they can cause gastrointestinal distress when consumed with food. These sensations may modulate comfort and arousal rather than directly driving performance. Next, we'll explore how flavor influences hydration and adherence to your supplement regimen. The flavor of your pre-workout doesn't just affect perception, it can influence how much you drink. Palatable flavors encourage greater fluid intake, helping deliver active ingredients at effective doses and maintaining hydration during training. Hydration is crucial for thermoregulation, cardiovascular function, and overall performance. Conversely, unpleasant tastes elevate rate of perceived exertion and reduce motivation and enjoyment, which can lead to lower compliance over time. A study on taste preference showed that non-preferred flavors raise perceived exertion and reduce both enjoyment and adherence. The takeaway is simple: choose flavors you genuinely like to support consistent use and adequate hydration. With that in mind, let's discuss when flavor truly matters and when it doesn't. Flavor matters more than you might think in several contexts. Strong or preferred tastes can prime the brain through reward pathways, boosting expectation and motivation. Pleasant flavors reduce perceived exertion and increase enjoyment, which supports adherence and consistent training. Good flavor also encourages adequate fluid intake, ensuring that you ingest the correct doses of active ingredients. Finally, recognizable flavors associated with past positive experiences can induce placebo effects, boosting confidence and drive. In short, flavor can modulate the psychological environment of your workout, making it feel easier and more rewarding. However, there are limits to what flavor can do. Let's look at when it doesn't matter. Despite its psychological influence, flavor does not alter the biochemical pathways that drive performance. The molecules that create taste are present in minute amounts. They don't deliver energy or change your metabolism. What really matters are the active ingredients, like caffeine, citrulline, or creatine, and their doses. A strong sour or bitter taste can't make up for an underdosed formula. Whether a flavor is natural or artificial has little to do with performance outcomes. So while flavor can influence how you feel and how likely you are to stick with a supplement, it shouldn't be mistaken for potency. With that clarified, let's wrap up by busting some final myths and summarizing the key lessons. Let's end by clearing up the big myths. Saying this flavor hits harder is usually just a reflection of expectation and placebo, not chemical potency. Claims that artificial flavors kill gains are unfounded. Safety and performance depend on active compounds and doses, not the source of flavor. And don't assume that a bad taste means a strong formula. Unpleasant flavor often just signals poor palatability. The real takeaways are that flavor is multisensory and influences expectation and enjoyment. Sweet and bitter tastes can modestly enhance performance through brain and gut signaling, while sour, cooling, and spicy sensations mainly affect comfort and arousal. Choose flavors you enjoy to support hydration, dosing, and long-term adherence. And always evaluate pre-workouts by the quality and quantity of active ingredients, not by taste alone. With these insights, you can make smarter choices about your supplements and your training.